I'm Josh,
And I'm Alex.
and we'll be doing our project on the social effects of movies throughout history. The history of movies begins in 1895 with the first movie ever made. It was a 1-minute long video of a train arriving at a platform entitled Arrival of a Train. When it was released to the public, many people were very impressed and intrigued with this new art form since it was unlike anything they had ever seen before. In fact, some people were even scared when the train first arrived on screen because they feared it might hit them. Arrival of a Train may not seem like much, but it spawned what would become one of the most significant forms of art. In 1903, the first real blockbuster movie was released, known as The Great Train Robbery. This silent, 12-minute long black and white film marked the beginning of the influence of movies on society and on popular culture. It was the first action movie, and the first to attract large audiences into the theaters to watch it. Movies following The Great Train Robbery attracted even larger audiences and were therefore very influential on society.
One very influential movie was 1915's The Birth of a Nation. It used revolutionary filmmaking techniques to create a sense of size that had never been seen before. Its widespread popularity allowed its message of racism and bigotry to reach a very wide audience very effectively. It demonstrated the social power that movies have, because they can reach audiences more visually than a radio can, and more movingly than a newspaper can. It was so popular, in fact, that President Woodrow Wilson chose it as the first movie to ever be screened at the White House. Birth of a Nation proved that movies could have a major effect on public opinion, so naturally they began to be used as propaganda. Charlie Chaplin appeared in pro-government propaganda movies during World War I and II. The Bond in World War I was a pro-government Bond movie, and he played a parody of Hitler called Adenoid Hinkle in World War II. The Three Stooges also participated in propaganda with a movie called You Nazi Spy.
I must think. Let me see.
The U.S. government also produced propaganda during the Cold War, such as an animated adaptation of George Orwell's Animal Farm to sway the U.S. public opinion against communism. Not all propaganda movies were government-made or pro-war. There was, for example, an anti-Korean War movie called Pork Chop Hill.
What was that all about?
Well, I could see the sun was shining off his rifle, but I couldn't get a clean shot at him, so I had to run in where I could.
In 1927, another major milestone for films was reached with the release of The Jazz Singer. It was the first full-length talkie, meaning the dialogue and sound effects could be heard by the audience. Though taken for granted now, this was not commonplace in movies before this one.
Mammy, the sun shines east, the sun shines west, but I know where the sun shines best. Mammy.
Due to the success of movies like The Jazz Singer and Birth of the Nation, new movie studios were formed. They began to create movies more efficiently and frequently than ever before. Some of these studios included MGM, Warner Brothers, Paramount, 20th Century Fox, and RKO Radio. These newly formed studios began a trend that continues to this day of putting out numerous large-budget movies each year in hopes of attracting viewers. No longer were films an obscure art form for the few who had the resources, but were now a gigantic competitive business. Movies were now made for the sole purpose of making money.
The effect of movies on U.S. culture can be felt every day. They are quoted and referenced and are an integral part of the cultural tapestry of the U.S. Not only are they important culturally, but they are economically important too. Millions of people go and see movies every week, and the biggest movies make billions of dollars of revenue.
Films have come a long way from a silent 60-second long video of a train. At the time of its inception, no one could have predicted just how significant to society and culture film would become.